Why won't comic book YouTubers tell you these basic facts?
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
What's going on, Collectibles friends? It is another day. It is another Collectibles video. We are back again today. I do this video, or a version of this video, every month or so, just as a reminder, because I keep on seeing the same pattern of events, and it's driving me absolutely nuts. You will not hear this on any other comic book YouTube channel because I watch them. I watch a variety of different ones, and by the way, they do a great job, all doing kind of different things within the space. I will say there are a lot of dealers that are comic book YouTubers, and I think that kind of sways some of the talk as far as, you know, what's important to get now and that sort of thing. I will touch on that right here just to start the video. There are not many comic books out there, guys, unless it's a very limited print of something that you are not going to have access to at some point down the line. And we're going to really talk about this in depth here today. I want you to understand is we are going through a third-party grading boom like no other. In the collectible space, the companies that are really doing the most, that have really grown the most over the last 5 years, it is third-party grading. And for a good reason. You know, I know for CGC and comic books, there's been a lot of talk here recently. Some of the challenges that they've come about, they've got lawsuits going on, people trying to scam. People are going to scam when there's big money involved, and there has been a lot more money involved in this space over the last 5 years. But the reason why third-party grading is so damn popular, it's really, really simple. I'll use an example of a book that I want, that I'm kind of hunting for the right price, and it's a Marvel Spotlight 5, probably in a CGC 7.5 or an 8. And going back in time, when I was a kid, there was no third-party grading. Back in 89, 90, 1990, I think is when third-party grading on the trading card side just started getting going with PSA, SGC, some of these companies, early 90s. But it wasn't popular. It took a long time for it to actually get popular. But CGC been grading comics for what, 20 plus years about. So they've been doing it a while, no doubt, and they grade coins and those sorts of things. But when I go on eBay right now and I'm looking to buy Marvel Spotlight 5, 7.5, I'm looking it up. I can look up that book, and very quickly, within 5 seconds, I can see what are the recent sales on it. Okay, 1,500, 1,700, 1,900. It gives us a price point that we can work with based on that level. You know, so based on that quality level, it's this. Based on, 9.0 is this, a 5.0 is this, and we can make a more informed decision. If there's no third-party grading and I go look up Marvel Spotlight 5 and there's just a bunch of them sitting there on eBay, yeah, if I've got an amazing eye, to where I can look and see, and hopefully maybe I can ask the seller, hey, can you send me some more pictures? But what a pain, that is for everybody involved. If you're a seller, hey, can you send me 25 pics? Can you send me a picture of each page so I can make sure that there's not a page missing? The whole point of third-party grading is to help avoid that. And now, of course, do they make mistakes and all that? Yeah, of course, blah, 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 whatever. But the main thrust, the main push behind third-party grading and why consumers want it is for this reason. Is the book real? Are there any major defects with it? What's your opinion on how you would grade it out? We're counting on your experts to give us some sort of kind of an idea, an opinion of it. And of course, you'll see books where it's sitting in there, might look, maybe it's a 7.0 and you're like, actually, it looks like a 6 to me. Or it's at a 7.0, actually, it looks like an 8 to me. It actually looks better. So it is just an opinion, but third-party grading is very, very needed. Now, the part that's not talked about very much at all here on YouTube or on IG, and I just flipped through IG, took some pictures of some stuff, just looking through what's what. You need to understand that dealers, LCSs, people are out there hunting for comic book collections the same way they are on the trading card side and antiques and all these other things. And a lot of these books, and I know that there's a lot of dealers that really prefer kind of selling ungraded books, and they've got a great eye for it. They can sell it based on kind of the grade that they see it as. But I am telling you, it's my opinion that eventually these ungraded books will arrive in a slab at some point. It's just a matter of time before, those raw books, they want to be preserved by a collector, or they want to grade on it, whatever the case may be. A flipper wants to have it so they can grade it and resell it, whatever the case may be. So you can be a hardcore dealer, whatever, LCS, and you're like, you know what, we're only going to deal in ungraded books. That's fine, but eventually, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years down the road, I am convinced that all of these books, or a vast majority, a lot of them, especially the important key books, and I'm really kind of hitting on the key, the bronze, the copper, the silver age books will eventually land in CGC slabs. What does that mean for you and me? Well, if we're out and we're looking to buy one of these, we're looking at the census report to try to get an idea of how many exist in a 7.5. Marvel Spotlight 5, great example. How many exist in a 7.5/8? How many exist in a 9? How many exist in a 5? The truth is, and one thing I know I kind of get on to Comic Tom occasionally, because sometimes on his show, he's got guys on there that are like, get in on this now, and they say stupid stuff. But the one thing I do like about Comic Tom's show, when they do the top 10, is they talk about the increase in the census over a week or over the last month. He'll say on there, in a 9.8, there's been an additional 200 copies graded in the last 30 days. That is the most important information that he provides me over the pricing information, because that tells me, okay, if they just graded 200 more, if the census for the 9.8, for whatever that book is, just literally doubled over the last 2 months, I'm just kind of throwing out numbers here, then that tells me a lot. That tells me that there are still a lot of supply out there, and actually some great copies still out there in a 9.8. Now, maybe CGC for that particular book will never grade another 9.8 again. But I'm going to be conservative and think, you know what? If they're graded 200 in the last 2 months and they got 9.8s, I bet there's going to be more over the next 6 months, over the next year. And then I ask myself, what are the census reports going to look like in a year or 3 years or 5 years? And am I in a big rush on any particular book? And again, I'm talking mainly about bronze, copper, silver age books. There's also golden age books that they find. I actually just bought, my most recent buy was a Superman 16 first Lois Lane cover and a mid-grade. I just recently got it. And I decided, you know what? I would love to get into more of the golden age stuff. I've got silver age, bronze age, that sort of stuff, but I don't have any golden age stuff. Why? Why don't I? And I like the historical element. A lot of those Superman books are from 1940. They're in the early 40s. They're right smack in the middle of World War II. So I'm thinking like, man, what a cool historical book. I want to own a few of these. So I've been kind of targeting those and trying to add those. And in part because as I look, I keep seeing like on IG or on Facebook, social media, it's another collection found, and there's huge books in these collections. And I know they're not every day. I know you'll say like, oh, it's mostly going to be, Spawn, it's going to be Youngblood, or it's going to be 90s stuff, 90s X-Men or whatever. That's very common to find. I get that, but people are still out there finding X-Men 1. They're still out there finding Amazing Spider-Man 1 because they're from the 60s. They're not from the 30s, the 40s, or even the early 50s where it could be a little tougher. They're from the 60s, into the 70s, a lot of these really big key books, 60s and 70s, and some even into the 80s. And they're out there, they're hanging out there. And so for me, I'm taking a look at this and I'm thinking like, what do I really want right now? Like really prioritize, like what's something I really want? And I mentioned, I really want a copy of that Marvel Spotlight 5, first appearance of Ghost Rider. But I know there's a lot coming to grading. I know there's gonna be more. So then I'm kind of like, what is my big rush to go out and get that book right this second? Can it wait? Maybe 6 months down the road, a year down the road, that book's price is down 20, 30%, not because people hate the book, not because there's not demand for it, but just because there's another few hundred copies. There's another 500 copies that have been graded. Like I said, don't underestimate the boom of grading that is happening right now and then the values associated with those grades. There's going to be I know there's a big kind of a warring going on, in the comic book world of ungraded versus graded. And especially with CGC's challenges lately, it's, oh, don't grade, stay raw, stay with the ungraded stuff. Guys, there will be scams, just like there's scams with the graded stuff. There's probably just as many, if not more, scams for ungraded stuff, whether it be restored or trimmed or, there's a page missing or a page has been added. You got these kind of Frankenstein books that are out there. People are going to scam no matter what, but at least with third-party grading, we've got some type of protections. There's a companies actually working towards providing safekeeping for these books. So again, something you're not going to hear on YouTube that much because it's just not talked about. You'll hear a lot of prices are moving up and down, but there's a lot of talk about the demand for certain books, not much talk about the supply, the graded supply that just keeps on flowing. CGC staying busy. CGC just bought JSA, so they're going to have a whole slew of books. They're going to be the CGC JSA, the books that were signed in person that were not witnessed. There's going to be a slew of that stuff that's going to be hitting the market as well. So again, as I'm looking at this, for me, I want to buy graded stuff. I don't want to buy an ungraded X-Men 1, from 1963. I don't want to buy an ungraded, Incredible Hulk 181. I want it to be a graded book, but even like Hulk 181 is a perfect example. My God, there are so many ungraded copies of that book. Amazing Spider-Man 300. There is a lot of that stuff. So for me, it's just not a book that I need to rush into. I'd rather wait 3 years and see what does that census look like, and then what are the corresponding prices. And again, maybe demand just continues. Maybe demand goes like this, and even with the added supply, the prices keep on going up. That very well could be the case. But if that's not the case and demand does not keep up, or what happens if demand wanes from where it is today, and then you have all the added supply, of course that means price drop downward. So it's just something to think about. We all are trying to spend our money the best way we can, trying to just figure out where to pick our spots in kind of a weird economic time in the world. So I wanted to throw this out there. I'll probably be back next month with a similar message. Guys, stay healthy, stay awesome, and I will talk to you again later.